Amelie, thanks so much for taking the time for this interview. I've talked with your colleagues Nick and Petra, and I know that Euroseeds is heavily involved in the EU research projects. But what are some of the concrete tasks that Euroseeds takes when getting involved in such a research project?
So first of all, thank you for having me, Marcel. So Euroseeds is mainly involved in work packages that are dealing with communication, dissemination and exploitation. So in communication, mainly my colleagues are working on the communication strategy for these research projects, which means to raise awareness about the projects mainly. So via different channels, so communication channels, social media, web pages, they are also creating communication material for the partners and setting also the goals, so which audiences should be reached and how many people, and so setting the key performance indicators also for communication. And the second step is then the dissemination of project results. This comes in when the results are already there. So dissemination means that the researchers that developed the results go to conferences, produce publications of the results, and these are then disseminated to the broader public also. Mm-hmm. So not only to researchers, but also publicly available. And our role is then to report to the European Commission about all these different dissemination activities. And the third step is then the exploitation of results, so to making real concrete use of the results that are created in research projects.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned exploitation activities. What would you say is the relevance of those exploitation activities in those research projects?
So they are increasing. So the relevance is increasing in these research projects. And Horizon 2020, there was also already a focus on it, but it also increases already in Europe, Horizon Europe. So it's really to create a mid to long-term effect of these results, so that the results not remain on a shelf or only written on paper, so to say, but create an impact and make that there's a use of results. So this can be a societal use, an economic use, an environmental use, also political use. So different ways of using these results. It can be commercial or non-commercial use, but there's really the goal to make use of it. It can be then in policy briefs, better practices, new products also. And so there's an even stronger focus now on Horizon Europe on exploitation.
Interesting. Amelie, can you give me some examples of those EU projects that are, touching upon plant breeding and the seed sector, where you may expect a positive impact on EU agriculture?
Mm-hmm. So it's always not easy to measure really this impact, and I think that's also because there's this mutual dependency, policies deciding which projects are granted, which could be interesting and needed. And I think because it's not so easy to measure this impact, there's also a stronger focus now in this research project to have a focus on exploitation, making real transfer of these results into society. And I think so that is also what I'm working on, to close this gap, to make this connection, to really create impact. So for example, for the BRESOV project, so this is on vegetable breeding for organics. There was a strong focus on breeding for sustainability traits, so low input conditions. And what we are preparing there is that, for example, the data, so phenotypic data or genotypic data is provided then in databases, that these results can be used by breeding companies, for example, or also better practices, so that these can transfer in the European agriculture system. Then another example would be, for example, the crop booster project Euroseeds was also involved in. And this was about to future-proof the crop production in Europe. Mm-hmm. And there a roadmap was developed. So with the goal to set new research agendas, also focusing on public-private partnerships to put more money on this.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. But of course, the impact will be seen in a few years, a bit later.
Yes, so exploitation always starts also after the end of this research project. So the research partners do have to develop a plan. So what is after the project end? And that they really have to develop also. So what will be in the next 3 weeks, 5 weeks, 3 months, this up to several years, especially regarding, for example, product development, business development, that takes some time.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Amelie.
Thank you very much for having me.